Gyan Ganga. In this video, we will be looking into the practical aspects of VXLAN network creation. To refer to the part 1 of this video, please refer to the link available in the description box. To start with, this is the setup that is available for us to deploy the container based cloud applications, where the container will be deployed across multiple hosts, two or more hosts belonging to the same LAN. That means the LAN has to be extended across multiple hosts. So this is achieved by setting up VXLAN tunnel across the hosts. The focus point of this session would be configuring the VXLAN tunnel endpoints on these host interfaces and witnessing the establishment of the VXLAN tunnel on the initiation of the traffic. If you look at this setup, we would be setting up the Linux bridge and the containers connecting to the Linux bridge on individual hosts and further extending the LAN from one host to the other host. So before moving on to the scripts or the commands to set this up, these configurations, the sysctl configurations have to be configured for the Linux bridge to forward the ICMP traffic to the containers. So we will have to place this sysctl configurations in /etc/sysctl.conf and execute this command sysctl -p sysctl.conf and the configurations will be applied. Let us now look into the commands to set up this infrastructure. So to start with, we'll have ipnetlist add command to create a microcontainer, and we use brctl commands to set up this bridge, and we have ip link add command to create a virtual Ethernet pair. Also, we use the same IP link add command to create a VXLAN interface. If we carefully observe here, we are also associating a corresponding host interface which will act as a VXLAN tunnel endpoint, associating that host interface to a multicast group address, also the port number 4789. Also, we are associating a VXLAN ID to uniquely identify this VXLAN, right? Now, and then we will attach the virtual interface V1 to the microcontainer C1 using IP link set command, and then use brctl add interface commands to associate V2 and VXLAN1 to this bridge. Finally, we use IP adder add to associate an IP address to this CP1 interface. And if you carefully observe, we use IP netns exec command to execute the following command in this particular microcontainer or container. So finally, we bring up the interfaces, V1, V2, Linux bridge interface as well as the VXLAN interface. Now, okay, in the entire exercise, we are printing two fields, important things. We are dumping the IP address related information of V1 as well as we are dumping the IP address and Ethernet frame address information of ENS3. This is for our later analysis. The link to this script will be available in the description box. Now let us execute the script. Uh, okay, uh, we have printed some statements of success. Now the important thing is these two are important for our later analysis. The interface details of V1, the Ethernet address and the IP address, and the details of ENS3, the Ethernet address and the IP address. Right? Please note this. We will come back to this on the later analysis. And on the other host, host 2, this exactly is the same script. Only thing is the IP address will be 10.10.10.6. Right, the configuration of VXLAN, associating that to the physical interface, right, everything will be same. Just that for the since we are running the same script here, you might see the interfaces will be named as V1 and V2 only, unlike in this diagram where we have differentiated, but it's exactly same script, only the IP address changes. If you can look here, just this part is changed. Okay, now we will also execute this script. We And also please note here again, we are printing the details of V1 here, the container C2's interface. We are printing the MAC address and the IP address, MAC address and the IP address. If you see here, the MAC address of C2 is 6C, 6D something, and here it is 0A D0, but the naming is V1 only. Okay, that minor difference I please note it down. Now, what's happened is we have deployed the bridge, we have deployed the container, we have created this virtual interface, attached V1 to C1, V2 to the Linux bridge, and also we have configured the VXLAN tunnel endpoint, right? We have configured the VXLAN tunnel endpoints. Still, we have not uh, configured the tunnel. The tunnel is not configured. It's only established when the traffic is initiated. We just can configure the tunnel endpoints. Now we will initiate the traffic from C1 to C2. Before that, we will capture the packets on VXLAN interface as well as ENS3 interface. Just a note, when the traffic is initiated from C1 to C2, it will be same if we capture the traffic either on V1 or V2 or VXLAN 1 here, or either on V3, V4 or VXLAN 2. Whatever the traffic is sent on these three interfaces, as it is will move up. So we did not capture on all these six interfaces. Any of one of these six interfaces, if we can capture, we'll get the same data. Similarly here, either of these two interfaces, either on host 1 interface or host 2 interface, we get the same data, because whatever is been sent here will be received here. There's no change. For our analysis, we can capture at these 2 points. One type of traffic is we'll capture it on VXLAN 1, that is overlay traffic, and we will capture on the host 1 interface the VXLAN tunnel traffic, right? Now we are capturing it on VXLAN 1 on the host 1 interface, on the host 1, and ENS3 on the host 1. Okay, we are only capturing the packets which have port 4789. Okay, now we will initiate the traffic, right? Initiate the traffic from C1. Okay, pinging 3 times, successful, and we will Okay, we have 10 packets. We have 10 packets. Very good. So now let us look into the frame structure of the normal uh, packets here as well as the tunnel packets. Here is the frame structure what we will find when the traffic is initiated. See the inner headers what we see here. This is the frame that is generated in this overlay network, that is from C1. So let us come to a common understanding of the terms. When we say Ethernet frame, it constitutes of Ethernet header plus its payload. When I say IP packet, it is IP header plus its payload. When we say UDP segment, it is UDP header plus its payload. When we say tunnel, VXLAN header plus its payload. And similarly, the same terminology is relevant here. Ethernet means it's Ethernet header plus its payload. Only the difference is one is outer header, which is generated by ENS3, and which is inner header, which is generated by the C1. Okay, so this is a precursor before we go to the actual analysis from on the Wireshark logs. What happens here is the C1 will generate this traffic, that is Ethernet frame header plus its payload. Once it crosses the VXLAN 1 interface and reaches here, the host interface will package this. So it builds up a VXLAN tunnel, encapsulate the inner frame, and then pushes the entire stuff on outside the interface. And when it reaches here on the host 2 interface, it will reach the entire data. It will read this, it knows where it has to send, strip this part, this entire outer header plus the VXLAN header is stripped, and the inner header is sent to VXLAN 2, and normally it goes here and the C2 processing, right? All these things we will see when we do a detailed analysis on the Wireshark. Now we will compare the Wireshark logs with the packet structure. See, this is the uh, packet capture done at the VXLAN interface. Okay, that is this interface, right? We have already discussed that only the overlay traffic will be captured in on the VXLAN interface. If you see here, it will only contain the inner header. See, the first frame will be Ethernet frame followed by its payload. Here it is ARP, and the next is again the reply, ARP reply. Again here we have Ethernet uh, uh, frame and the ARP reply. And the next is a ping. Ping will contain Ethernet, IP as well as the ICMP. See here, Ethernet, IP, ICMP. So we are seeing the inner headers. Okay. At the same time, if we look at the see here ENS3, we have captured this here host to one interface. What are we seeing here? We see the outer headers plus the inner headers. Here, outer header is Ethernet to we call it as outer header. Then the IP. Then you see UDP here. Then we see a VXLAN tunnel header, and then the inner headers, right? So if we compare whatever we see here is the same. If you look at the inner headers, see here. Okay, if you look at the first packet to packet, see here, packet to packet, if you see, first the packet comes from VXLAN interface. See here, 0A, D0, B7, This is 08D0B7. And when it comes to ENS3, ENS3 builds these 4 headers and then encapsulates this under this. See here, this FEA16.3, this is the frame address of the MAC address of the host interface, and then it builds IP header, then QDP header, then the VXLAN header, then the inner header. So the data which comes out of VXLAN 3 will be this. Finally, the frame builds the VXLAN tunnel under which you send this. So when the data crosses the ENS3, this is safely delivered here. It reaches here, and the host ENS3, what it does, it will remove these 4, and the remaining these 2 will send it to VXLAN to interface here. In this way, the LAN is extended. So to quickly look at the MAC addresses, what we had printed, we will see here. The MAC address of this is a host one, right? We have 0A D0, same thing. 0A D0, its IP address is 010.5, and when it comes to ENS3 host interface, right? Its MAC address is FEA16, FEA16.3E. Its IP address is 248.17. Okay. At the same time, we'll also look at the other host 2 details. 6E6D31, MAC address of C2 container. 6E6D31. Okay. IP address is 10.10.10.6. Okay. Host 2 interface MAC address and IP address FEA163, FEA163, and this is the IP address 248.47, 248.47. Okay, so we have compared the Wireshark capture with the frame structure, right? Whatever we have discussed theoretically, we have also seen this practically. And finally, we were discussing about establishment of VXLAN tunnel that happens here. The very first packet after the data initialization, data initiation. See here, when the C1 container initiates the traffic, the first thing is a broadcast packet. Anyway, it's a broadcast packet. At that time, the ENS3, see, anyway, he will do an ARP to find out the MAC address of this V3. But when it comes here, that's the very first packet. He will do a multicast to find out the other end point of the VXLAN tunnel. That's how it's happening here. He does a multicast. See here, multicast, right? To 239.1.1.1. So to find out the VXLAN tunnel of the other end. So once this packet reaches host 2, the next packet immediately will be a unicast packet. Only first packet will be a multicast to identify the other end. When he replies it as a unicast. See here, source is 47 to 17. Right? From here on, every packet will be a unicast packet. Next, see here, when the host 1 sends a packet, it will be straight unicast from 17 to 47. Whereas the first packet was a multicast from 17 to 39.1.1.1. This is how the very first packet, it will identify the other end of the VXLAN tunnel, and thereafter the tunnel traffic will be exchanged in a unicast manner. Okay, this is how the traffic is passed over the VXLAN tunnel. First it's an ARP, then the ARP reply, then 3 ping packets. Then finally, the C2 also will do an ARP request to find out the MAC address of C1. Friends, hope you enjoyed this session, understood how the VXLAN tunnel is configured and tunnel is established. Also, we saw how this setup is deployed in a cloud. We will meet you in the next video with a more interesting topic. Till then, happy learning, take care, and thank you.